And so we start. Once I get the notice, we're going to start. Oh, Randy, I see you're playing around with, I have something that you're going to like then. We're going to talk about today. It's actually kind of cool. Hey guys, welcome to Technology Drop-In Thursday. Today is Thursday, May 20th. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of the stuff that the training that was done this week with Microsoft Power Virtual Agents. It's basically how to create a chatbot. There's a couple things that they didn't cover in the session there, so I just wanted to point them out to you for anyone that wants to play around with the chatbot. But there's also a couple of cool tools that I know everyone's going to want to play with because it actually brings some extra functionality to your video calls. So, and we all want to play with that. So let me just get my screen up here so you can see it. So first thing though I do want to talk about is fixing your passwords in Chrome. We've talked about this before, that Chrome will save your passwords. And so if you go into your settings and that and just search for password, it'll have that information. Recently, over the last, I think 2 or 3 months, Chrome started checking to see if your password or if that service had been hacked. So for example, if let's say that I had a Dropbox account, if Dropbox had been hacked and Google took a look at it and said, you know, you used your password and you set that up in January, it was hacked in March, you should change your password. So Chrome will do that now. Actually, let me just demonstrate it real quickly. Settings. And so it's always kind of good to pull it out every once in a while. Like I said, just type in passwords here. But you can see here, I've got 8 compromised passwords. So it's actually going through and doing a check to tell me what services were breached. So here I can see Bitly was, RDIO, et cetera, et cetera. So it tells you that, hey, you should change those passwords. What it's done now, they just added it this week, is you can change your password right from here. So before I used to have to go open up Bitly, go into their password reset settings and to change my password. What this functionality does right now is if I click on change password, it will take me to Bitly. If it's set up properly, and of course this is a new service, so more and more services will come on, but if it's set up properly, it'll actually take me right to the place where I go and change my password. So not only do I not have to navigate to the website, I don't have to navigate into my profile settings, find my password change option, et cetera, et cetera. So this is just been rolled out. If the website that you're working with or that they're working with doesn't have it set up yet, it will take you right to the website. And then you can at least go there. You don't have to go looking up Bitly or whatever like that. But the other thing is, as more and more sites code stuff in, you'll be able to change your password right there. So if you're using Chrome for your password management, every once in a while, just check in and make sure, see how many things you have there. Here I've got some other security issues, which I'll have to look at later. But that's the new service there. This past week, we ended up having the Microsoft experts come in and talk about virtual agents or chatbots. Now, one of the challenges that we have from the session that those guys were doing is that we only have access to chat within our teams. So the next level of having a web service available to have a chatbot for, you know, external people and stuff, that's an extra cost, and the university isn't ready to do that quite yet until we show them that there's a reason why we need it. But you can create virtual chatbots for your internal groups. So right now, as we create teams, you could create a chatbot that someone could go in and do the work. Now, like any other chatbot, you have to feed the information in. You have to supply what are the questions that people typically answer. Here's the answer that I want to provide. Maybe after I provide an answer, there's a yes or no question. And depending on whether they say yes or no, they go to another file for more information. So chatbots can take a lot of time and a lot of work involved in setting them up. However, what you can do is you can actually point to existing web pages and FAQs, and Microsoft will go through and analyze that and then actually build some stuff up ahead of time. So the way to access it is if you go in Microsoft Teams, if you don't have it available here under the 3 dots, it's the Power Virtual app. If you click on that, it'll have some tutorials on how to work with the app, first steps in that. But this is what I want to show you. I've created this chatbot that basically talks about T22s. And when I go to Go Topics, basically it starts off with a bunch of canned topics. So, you know, greetings, how do I greet people and stuff like that. But when I want to have some more topics, I can go into suggest topics here and I can enter any web page I want. So it's got to be a web page that's public viewing. You can see here it's a PDF, a Word document, CSV, or any online content. So I actually pointed a bunch of stuff to the T22s just for the hell of it. So this is what it did, is it sucked down all these T22s and then it analyzes it. I can go into here, actually these are suggested, I can go into here and review them. So here's the phrase, this is the answer. If I like this, I can add this to my topics. So basically it scans it, says, hey, I've got some suggestions, do you want to take them and use them? Once you say yes, then I can put them in here. This becomes part of the resource that my test bot has. So an example here, I'm going to go, when can I get T2202? TTT. They're usually issued in February following a tax year, for example, T22, blah, blah, blah. So I didn't actually have to type any of that in, so which is really great. Now, the way this is set up is as a default, and there's a setting I have to go in and play around with. I can turn off, did this answer your question, yes or no? We obviously would like to know that this is work so that it can also learn, the bot's learning this is a good answer. They throw in a rating system after that. I would just get rid of that as rating system. But you can just keep on going. So let's say blank page, because I know sometimes people try and download, they get a blank page due to PDF security, sometimes the form, blah, blah, blah. So the nice thing about it is that if you've got documentation already existing, you can point to that and then just start sucking down these topics and stuff. From what I've read, if the data changes on the web page, it will also change in your article. So if there's updates to the web page, it'll pull over here. Right now, that's only dealing with public facing stuff. So you can't point to OneDrive or SharePoint or anything like that, or anything that has a password on it. But you know what, if, for an area like the OUR, which has, a couple hundred people in it, maybe having a bot here actually might be a little bit better than using an FAQ, right? Because there's some logic that goes into it. Just understand that, excuse me, it does take work to keep it maintained, but you can get started really easy. So that's, I just wanted to show you that. We did have the documentation and the recording from the session on Monday. So if you want to go and review that, there's links to do that, and you can have yourself some fun looking through that data. No questions? Cool. All right, here's the thing I've been waiting for months and months and months. We now have access to webinars through Microsoft Teams. That's what they call it. Basically, it's still a meeting. The only difference is that now there is a sign-up page to go along with the meeting. And then as part of the participants of the meeting, you've got two different people. You've got your presenters who have access to share screens, microphones, chat, that kind of thing. And then you have attendees. We've seen the attendees show up, that role show up, but really didn't make much sense when you're just using regular meetings and inviting people. But in this case, as a webinar, the idea is that there's going to be a set bunch of us. We're the only ones that can share our screen. Then there's the attendees, and they have to sign up before they can join our session. And then we can control whether or not their microphones work, whether or not they can use the chat. So those kind of things. So I'm just going to show you how to start with that. In our group, I did post something about that on Tuesday with some comments and some observations. So I'll try and remember what those were as we go through. But to get started with it, we just go into our calendar here. And then from the calendar, we are going to just up here and select webinar. Now, scheduled meeting is no different than just scheduling a meeting. We can do that here. We've talked about this before. We can do a live event, which is kind of like the TV concept, right? I have a TV show, I have presenters like the news, and then everyone else is watching. There is Q&A available through that, but attendees cannot come off mute. They cannot chat directly with anyone else. So that's what the live event's for. We also, of course, have this link to if we want to start a meeting now. I don't want to put it in the calendar. I just want to have a meeting and some links to share to people. So that's where we'll see this Meet Now button. But there's our webinar. So the first part is, where do the presenters go? All right. So I'm going to put in my title here. So prep and presentation with Trevor. And then I'm going to put in my who is required. So I'm going to put in, oh, what the heck. David, I'm going to pick on you for a little while. You don't have to do anything, just so you have your name there. And the same thing. Now, keep in mind, when I'm doing a presentation, it's going to run from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock. I probably want people to show up a bit ahead of time so that we can go over, we can practice things, we can make sure everyone's got their act together and all the technology is working before we actually start the presentation. So my time here I set for 1:30. It might end up being 2 o'clock or what have you. I'm going to switch this to tomorrow just to make it a little bit different. And then any notes that I put in here are for the presenters, right? Here's documents we're working on or whatever else. We can go through all that. At the top of the page is where we start talking about registration. So here we have a link. Do you require registration for this? So I can say, no, I don't. I do require for anyone in my organization, or I require for everyone. The everyone right now is grayed out. I'm talking to the guys about trying to get that changed so that we can use this tool for external. It's a brand new tool, so some of the settings still have to be set up. And then we'll go view the registration form. The registration form editor in the desktop app has a couple of different things that are different than if you did it from the web. So for example, I could upload an image. That would be a little header there. You don't have access to that in the web. That's really at this point all I've seen that's a difference. This is going to create the landing page and where people go to sign up, right? So I'm not going to use prep and presentation with Trevor. I'm going to call this Tech Drop-In Friday. And again, I'm going to have a different time and stuff like that here. So we'll set our times up from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock. And any kind of comments or descriptions I want to put in there. A couple of things I found right now that are kind of bugging me is if I wanted to make this a heading 1, I can select heading 1. If I decided I have a bunch of text and then I have a heading 2 or heading 1 here and then some more text underneath, the moment I hit this heading 1, it actually just defaults to the front or to the first paragraph. So you can't actually at the moment do inline formatting. It all affects the first paragraph. Easy enough, they'll fix that, I'm sure. I can add speakers, so I'll just put in Bob and then whatever little bio I want to put in here. This is all strictly static based and it's a very small window. So I would suggest create it somewhere else, paste it in here. It's a lot easier to do that. Okay, so let's take a look at the rest of this. First name, last name, email. Okay, that's standard for everything. We can add some other fields here if we really want to, and we have the ability to add custom fields. So we're looking at either a choice, or what role are you, staff or faculty or student, or else input. What's your favorite movie quote? So I can add that stuff in there as well. And then I'm going to save this. You'll notice there's a link there. It says copy registration link. That's the link that I'm going to promote to everybody. So I'm going to copy this again. This doesn't get saved until I finish saving my meeting. Okay, so keep in mind this is the registration page, but until I actually send this notice out to David, it doesn't get saved yet. So I've gone and saved it in there. I, as a presenter, get a notification here that about this session. Okay, anyone that is an attendee that goes and fills this out will not receive any kind of an update. So right now I'm in a different account. This is my user 30 account. Whoops, what happened? Why didn't that link come over? Bad computer. Let me open this up again. There's my link, copy link. You said you were copied last time. So here it comes. Now this is a test account within McEwen, so it automatically allows me to go and register, because remember, you have to be part of the organization. One of the nice things about it is because I'm logged in, look, it's already filled out my name, first name, last name, and my email. So now my test user here is going to go ahead and register. The problem I have found so far, unless something's changed since Tuesday, I, as a attendee, don't get anything in my email. I get no email notification. I get nothing to add to my calendar. I have to do this manually right now. So that's one thing I'm sure a lot of people are going to be going, what the hell? And they'll change that soon enough, because that really is kind of a pain in the butt. Other than that, once we get started, it's just like running a regular meeting. And just like in a regular meeting, you can go into the options for your meeting options. So that's where, let's see here, I'm just going to pull that over for this one. If I go into my meeting options, these are all the different settings that are available to us when we look at this for, and this is an old meeting, so it's not going to apply here, but when who can bypass the lobby, by default, there's one, we talked about it last week, only people I invite can be part of this. That's automatically selected. I believe allow mic for attendees is unselected, and who can present is not people in my organization. It's just only me or specific people, depending on how you invite them. So those settings will change automatically as part of saying that this is a webinar. Other than that, you're back to using this just like you would any other meeting in Microsoft. Does that make sense to everybody? Cool, thumbs up, thank you. All right. Yeah, I played around with that a lot. There's and read through that posting there. It'll tell you, like I said, there's some more stuff in there that will be some observations and stuff. I didn't have time to submit any bug requests, but I definitely will for some of that stuff. Okay. Now, if you do a lot of presentations and stuff, probably some of you have heard of Prezi. Prezi is a presentation tool that was available, oh God, probably about 10 years ago. The whole idea of Prezi was that it was going to be an alternative to PowerPoint. And it really does do a lot of PowerPoint kind of stuff. It gives you a little bit more flow and action. So for example, I'm just going to pull up this Prezi here. This is one that they created, not me. But it gives you a little bit more of swoosh, as I like to call it. So I can start it here. I can do my presentation. Come on, go over, move my presentation. And notice it just zooms in, goes to the next section, and it zooms out, and it does all that kind of stuff. So it's a little bit fancier. I personally don't like all the action. I think that if I'm going through very fast on something, that can be really distracting. But it's but some people really quite like it. Excuse me. Prezi, though, has added a new functionality that allows me to be part of the presentation. So when you see this space here, that's where my head's going to go. So Prezi's basically said, hey, you know what? You can run this just like you would PowerPoint or anything else, but we can have it act as an overlay over top of your regular video. So there's a desktop app that's involved with that. I'm going to make sure my video's here. So right now I'm actually using Prezi to do this. I'm going to load up a document presentation, and if I had this set up properly, it should work. Let me just double check. Yep, there we are. Okay, so give me 1 second, and I'll move my camera into place properly. Come on, I can't find it. All right, imagine I move over to the side here. I have something that normally does that. So here's what happens. Prezi allows me to go in, and you can see my screen here. So with my screen, this basically are all different slides. I've actually gone and imported a PowerPoint deck that was created already. Now, there's two ways that you can do this. You can use the desktop app here to either pull the Prezis from off the web and then create a file here and work with that, which will give you more functionality because it's got all the whoosh and bang. Or you can just create files from PowerPoint, in which case it's just going to be straight slides. The nice thing, though, about it, even if with a PowerPoint presentation, is that as you go in here, I can also change the viewpoint. So right now we've got this item here. You really don't need to see the closer than that. I'm going to move on to the next one. That one, you might want to see more of that than my head. So there's 3 buttons down here. So this just gives me my head, just gives me the over the shoulder, and this makes it full screen. And I can actually control all of that from my keyboards as well. So 1, 2, and 3, I can do that. I can use the arrow keys to move into the different slides that I want to do. So that's kind of a cool piece for that. I can also do a screen share. And so where this slide is, it would be whatever screen I'm sharing. One of the things that I saw the guys when they were demoing it is off to the top here, you can actually start adding text. So I'm just going to go into here. And let's say that we were all kind of chatting and doing our video and stuff, but I could make my comments here instead of putting them in the chat. I could just do like, eye roll, and that gets displayed. So whatever I type up here is going to be up there. So you can either you can either plan this ahead of time, so I could create a slide that plans to have the text in there, or I can make this kind of reactionary as I move along. So I'm just going to do something easy. Don't ask me why I always go with puppies. And then I can just go in so cute and go like that. So it gives you that little flexibility. The demo that I saw them, they were actually using it as a communication tool to make comments instead of the chat. Whether you want to do that or not, I mean, it depends on how disruptive the meeting is. Can't be any worse than when Troy shows up with his snap camera and filters and stuff. So I mean, hey. Anyways, for me, what I find that I really like about this is I have the opportunity that if I want to do a presentation, I can have that lower third that we used to have with Google Hangouts, where I can actually put my name and my department or my program or whatever. And if I was a guest speaker on someone else's video podcast, I could have that information right there on the bottom of the screen associated with me, and I could look after that. So kind of cool. You can use this tool to do recordings. So if you wanted to record your presentation and go through the slide and the whoosh and bang, you can do it that way. So right now what I'm seeing on my face, I could do it. It shows here as a record. The recording function doesn't work, but the secret is within your Microsoft Team meeting. So this meeting that we're in now that we're recording, I just record this video source. So instead of saying use my laptop camera, I'm going to say use the Prezi camera, and Prezi has my video plus whatever slides that I want to put in there, right? So it makes it easier. That's Prezi. Five presentations for free. After that, you just have to pay some. I think the way I've looked at it, this desktop app, if you are that I'm using right here, whoops, let's just get rid of that for a sec. The desktop app, go away. Thank you. The desktop app, if you wanted to, import a PowerPoint and use that, and you can save those presentations as many as you want because they all get saved to your desktop, because the desktop app is different than what you store in the cloud. In the cloud, you're going to build the presentation that's got all the whiz bang and stuff moving around, and that Prezi, the desktop, says, hey, I'll take a copy of that and I'll make a file here that I can work with, and then you can save that. You can't edit that though. The editing has to be done in the cloud. Excuse me. Any questions on Prezi? Yeah, it's pretty cool. So I really recommend just, even if you're not doing a bunch of presentations and stuff, but for faculty guys, you guys might like to do something different, right? So it's a lot easier to work with. Microsoft Teams is coming out with something anytime now. That'll do something very similar with PowerPoint, and then it'll put me over top of the PowerPoint in the background, so it's a little bit different, but same. The presenter mode's going to be coming out anytime now. So by the end of the month, I think is the last I remember hearing about it. So as soon as I hear, I'll let you know. That's it for today. Questions, comments? Nothing. Okay, then I'm going to shut down my recording and then we'll chat after that.